Every woman in this town is dying to marry the charming prince, but he still can't find true love. After years of patience and struggle, he finally falls for a gorgeous woman, but she's the only one immune to his charm. This is the story of the most famous prince the world has ever known. Whenever a beauty needed to be rescued, he was there. All he ever wanted is to make every girl feel like a princess. When the sleeping beauty took a 100-year nap, he was there to wake her up. When Cinderella needed a dance partner, he arrived there with the perfect shoe. And when Snow White was poisoned, his kiss brought her back to life. Despite being such a great hero, Prince Philippe Charming is still not happy. When every woman falls for you instantly, it's impossible to find true love. Poor Philippe is depressed over his bad luck while the princesses he saved are planning their wedding. All three of them reach the bakery to order the most beautiful cake. The shop owner gets really confused and asks each princess to describe her groom-to-be. They start talking about the perfect features of Prince Philippe, but none of them realize that they are talking about the same guy. Meanwhile, the king is waiting for his son to choose a wife. Not a single woman in the kingdom can resist Philippe's charms, and they are even willing to leave their husbands. That's why every man in the kingdom hates Philippe. Under such circumstances, Philippe can't take over the throne. The king wants him to travel to the Fire Mountain, a place where every prince got the answers he needed. This journey is called the Gauntlet, and it makes the conqueror a true man. The king also went on this journey, and on the way, he found his true love whom he married right away. However, the king was traveling with a female guide named Nemini Neverwish, who secretly liked him. After knowing about his marriage, Nemini got really jealous and became the king's sworn enemy. To take her revenge, she took shelter in a secret place and learned dark fairy magic. After a year when Felipe was born, the royal blessing fairy arrived to bless the prince with a little charm, but someone spilled the whole bag. It was Nemini. She cursed Felipe with irresistible charm, which will make every woman fall in love with him. As he can't satisfy all of them, Philippe will end up being a heartbreaker and homewrecker. Moreover, if the curse is not removed before his 21st birthday, all the love from the kingdom will disappear, and every person will end up heartbroken. Philippe's birthday is just 3 days away, but he's still cursed. It can only be cured by the kiss of true love. However, with every woman throwing themselves at him, Philippe can't differentiate between the curse and true love. The king can't take it anymore and throws Felipe out of the palace. He's not allowed to return until he finds a wife for himself. Felipe isn't giving up so easily and decides to head towards the Fire Mountain. On the same road, a notorious thief is planning her next crime. It's a gorgeous woman named Lenore Quinones who only cares about money. After stealing a treasure chest from the royal carriage, Lenore gets ready to escape the town, but the guards suddenly start following her. To avoid getting caught, Lenore decides to hide in the town and escape during the night. She reaches the market where Prince Philippe is looking for his wife. He meets each lady one by one and they keep falling in love with him, but Philippe doesn't feel attracted to any of them. Meanwhile, the royal guards try their best to stop the angry male citizens from attacking the prince. Philippe eventually grabs Lenore but fails to choose a pickup line for her. For the first time in his life, his knees are getting weak for a lady. He tries his best to impress her, but surprisingly, Lenore isn't affected by the curse. Instead of falling in love with the prince, she hits him in a sensitive spot and runs away. Lenore reaches the bakery and knocks down the owner to spend the night here. Suddenly, the three princesses arrive again to customize their wedding cakes. Lenore believes that it's a great chance to rob the princesses, so she starts pretending to be the shopkeeper. The princesses don't suspect her at all and start talking about their love story. Lenore keeps them busy in conversation and cleverly steals all of their jewelry. She also gets curious about the grooms and requests the princesses to show his picture. Finally, the princesses realize that all three of them are engaged to the same prince. While they are panicking, Lenore tries to run away with the jewelry, but accidentally hits a royal guard. She gets caught red-handed and locked in the dungeon. Soon the princesses arrive with their elders to decide a punishment for Lenore. They also keep talking about Prince Philippe and his journey towards the Fire Mountain. There's a very small chance of survival, and if the prince dies, none of the princesses will get to marry him. Someone needs to help the prince, and Lenore is willing to handle this task. She will get Philippe to his destination alive. In exchange, she must be forgiven for all of her crimes, and also be rewarded with a huge fortune. The princesses are willing to give 3 carts full of gold, so Lenore immediately agrees. She will convince the prince to reach the Fire Mountain through the safer route. The journey may take 3 days, while the princesses will use the faster route to reach the mountain beforehand. Afterward, Lenore will return home with her gold while the princesses can force Philippe to marry one of them. As the town is full of Lenore's posters, she disguises herself as a male travel guide and meets the prince. However, Philippe can't concentrate on the journey as Lenore is all over his mind. Luckily, he doesn't recognize her with the disguise and accepts Lenore as the guide. After traveling for a while, the prince gets hungry and asks Lenore to arrange a supper. Poor Lenore doesn't like working all by herself, but she has no other choice. After hunting a few birds, they sit down to eat, but the prince keeps mocking Lenore. He has already guessed that Lenore is a regular person obsessed with money, so she may be jealous of a charming prince. However, Lenore is not jealous of his life at all. Who wants to be engaged to 3 princesses at the same time? Philippe doesn't like being insulted like that and explains his story. As a prince, he is supposed to marry a princess he loves, but because of the curse, he can't recognize true love. In search of his soulmate, he kept looking for a princess and ended up getting engaged to 3 of them. It wasn't easy because Philippe almost risked his life in saving the princesses but ended up getting nothing in return. However, he's not giving up so easily. To find his true love, he will complete the gauntlet to the Fire Mountain. It's not just any regular journey. It consists of 3 impossible tasks: crossing the impassable pass, surviving an unsurvivable attack, and conquering an unconquerable beast. Lenore can't believe that the prince is willing to do this all for the person he never met. She will only trouble herself for treasure because that's what she loves. Philippe doesn't agree. Money can't be someone's true love, as it can't love you back. Even after getting all the treasure in this world, at the end of the day, you will still feel lonely. Lenore refuses to accept that fact because she was born into poverty. After suffering for all these years, Lenore has learned one thing: never trust anyone. You may get lonely, but no one will be able to break your heart. The next morning, Lenore and Philippe continue their journey and enter the mysterious valley. Just after a few miles, they realize that the whole valley is alive. The vines start attacking, so Lenore asks Philippe to use the bow and arrow. He keeps doing it wrong, so Lenore tells him to drive the cart. Unfortunately, he can't do that either. All he knows is being charming. Poor Lenore tries her best to handle the situation, but the cart ends up falling off the cliff. Luckily, Lenore uses a cloth sheet to glide in air. Instead of thanking her, Philippe starts assuming that the valley was a part of the gauntlet. It was the impassable pass. Philippe had many adventures, but he always depended on his men. It's the first time experiencing the danger so closely. The prince doesn't even know how to use any weapons. The sword he carries is just a decoration. After getting back on ground, Philippe excitedly continues his journey, but he doesn't know that the evil Nemini is keeping an eye on everything. She is not happy to see Philippe's progress, and especially with a female guide who's immune to the curse. To stop them, Nemini hides the right path, and Philippe accidentally turns to the deadliest road. After a while, Lenore notices that they are lost and may die in this forest, but Philippe stays optimistic. Unfortunately, as soon as he takes another step, they get caught in a trap set up by the tribe of female giants. No one has ever returned alive after meeting this tribe. Lenore loses her last bit of hope, but Philippe has a plan. He looks right into the eyes of the giant women and makes all of them fall in love with him. Sometimes a curse becomes a blessing too. The ladies are so happy to see him that they even throw a dance party. Once it is finished, Philippe will be honored as the chief of the tribe, and every lady will massage him with sacred oils. Meanwhile, poor Lenore is declared as an ugly man and will be served in the breakfast tomorrow. A half-blind woman is tasked to marinate Lenore, but she loves talking with humans. While telling about their journey, Lenore mentions that she also wants to experience love, but the woman asks her to change her mindset. It's impossible to fall in love when you can't trust anyone. Falling in love may sound risky, but life is incomplete without love. Hearing this, Lenore starts doubting her life choices and wonders if someone like Prince Philippe can be her true love. Later that night, when all the ladies fall asleep, Philippe sneaks out to rescue Lenore. He uses the dagger to cut the chains and accidentally wakes up the whole tribe. The giant ladies start running after the prince, and their heavy steps cracks the ground. Philippe and Lenore fall in the crack, but the ladies keep jumping on them. At any moment, Philippe and Lenore will be crushed to death. Before that happens, Lenore wants to reveal her identity, but before she can, the horse finds an entrance to a cave. They have survived the unsurvivable attack. Nemini is not glad to see that. She decides to weaken Lenore by using her worst temptation: money. Hundreds of valuable rubies appear in the cave, and Lenore can't get enough of them. Philippe tries to stop her, but she is blinded by greediness and picks up the biggest ruby. As soon as she does that, the stones start to move by themselves and turn into giant monster. Instead of getting scared, Philippe gets ready to fight, as this is the last stage of his journey, the unconquerable beast. To complete the gauntlet, Philippe must defeat the beast by himself, so he asks Lenore not to help him. The brave prince grabs his sword and attacks the monster, but the sword breaks into 1,000 pieces. He still doesn't give up and keeps trying to fight, but the beast starts running after Lenore. To find a weak spot, Philippe jumps on the beast and notices the cavity on his chest. The ruby Lenore picked up was the monster's heart. That's why he's running after Lenore. Philippe gets an idea to defeat the monster and starts luring him with the ruby. The monster eventually falls down from the cave, but he's still alive. The brave prince still doesn't give up and climbs on the monster to put the ruby back in its place. The monster feels grateful and becomes Philippe's friend. In other words, he has conquered the unconquerable beast. Lenore can't believe her eyes, as she never expected someone to do so much for love. Philippe has recovered her faith in humans, and he might be the soulmate she needs. Before delivering him to the princess, Lenore wants to try giving herself a chance. She wants to know if a charming prince can marry a common girl for the sake of true love. Meanwhile, Nemini is keeping an eye on everything. She can't let the prince unite with Lenore, even if she has to break an innocent heart. Philippe is unaware of everything and starts looking for his guide, but all he finds is a note. Lenore invites him to meet at a restaurant so she can reveal her true identity. Later that day, she visits the nearby town and buys the prettiest gown she finds. After dressing up, Lenore starts imagining a perfect life with Prince Philippe. How wonderful it will be if they can grab each other's hands and sing and dance together all night. After a few hours, Philippe reaches the chosen restaurant and looks for a table. As the restaurant is full of ladies, the prince tries to stay hidden to avoid causing a mess. Despite being engaged to 3 princesses and surrounded by several other gorgeous women, Philippe is still thinking about Lenore and wishes to meet her again. After gathering enough courage, Lenore enters the restaurant, but Nemini has cursed all the women to gather around Philippe. To get rid of their proposals, Philippe says that he's going to marry a princess, but Lenore hears everything. She feels like a delusional idiot and decides to stop thinking about love. She will not open her heart for anyone ever again. When the sun rises, Lenore carries the sleepy prince to the fire mountain so she can collect her payment and move on for good. As soon as the prince wakes up, he starts talking about the mysterious girl he met before starting the journey. He's also thankful to Lenore for being such a great companion. Little does he know, the mysterious girl and his guide are the same person. Before entering the mountain, Lenore suddenly feels the urge to speak her mind. She starts shouting at the prince and says that he doesn't even care what true love is. If he really loved someone, he would only have eyes for her. He would have broken all other engagements before looking for her. Philippe agrees, but he doesn't have much time left before his 21st birthday. Hearing this, Lenore asks him to enter the mountain and choose his bride. Philippe gets really confused to see the princesses, but Lenore is willing to explain everything. She finally reveals her true identity and her real intentions of bringing the prince here. Philippe doesn't care why she did everything because he believes they have some beautiful connection. He completed the gauntlet successfully just because Lenore was beside him. Lenore doesn't agree and refuses to believe in things like fate and true love. She is not falling for the lies again and chooses money as her only love. After she leaves, the king asks Philippe to choose one of the princesses, but he can't do that. He has already found his true love, but she left him for treasure. This really breaks his heart, and he doesn't want anyone else to feel the same pain. If he can't break the curse, he will kill the curse with himself. He returns to the palace and decides to hang himself. Before dying, he writes letters to every girl he met and advises them to find their true love because he found his already. Unfortunately, he can't live with his true love, but wishes everyone else to succeed. The king feels really sorry for his son, but if Philippe doesn't die before the sunset, all the love will be lifted from the kingdom. One of the letters he wrote is picked up by a bird and delivered to Lenore. She gets really shocked after reading the confession and runs to save the prince. Meanwhile, Prince Philippe gathers the whole kingdom to get executed in front of them. He apologizes to everyone for causing trouble in their relationships. He has realized how much it hurts to separate from your love, and he is sacrificing himself to help others find their soulmates. Saying this, Philippe hangs himself, but Lenore reaches there to save him. Before they can break the curse with a kiss, Nemini appears out of nowhere and attacks Philippe. He dies on the spot, but Lenore kisses him anyway to break the curse. As Nemini is defeated, her attacks are also reversed and Philippe gets cured immediately. Lenore doesn't waste another second and asks the Prince Charming to marry her. Philippe can't say no, and that's how they lived happily ever after.